What's up YouTube land, Ziino Gaming here, and welcome back to episode number 31 for F1 2020 My Team. And here today we are going to be driving around the Canadian Grand Prix, where this is the 9th race of the season, so coming off the last race at Baku where we didn't score any points with the bad engine power unit in the car, and coming to Canada, we're going to have a fresh power unit in and looking for a good result. And you can see we've made really good strides in the car developing, and we're getting closer to the front of the field now as we're the 5th ranked car on the hierarchy there. And yeah, so looking forward to Canada. It's one of my favourite tracks to drive. I think it's like one of the most unanimous, most popular track on the game, and just in general, everyone loves this place. And we're going to jump straight into qualifying. And a quick note, the race is going to be a wet one, so wet Grand Prix, wet race. That didn't sound right, but anyway, I'm going to continue forward. And so I've got a wet setup on the car for qualifying, so that could affect my straight line speed a little bit. But you know, you got to do what you got to do, and hopefully it helps us through the corners and the chicanes. So here's our first run in Q1, starting lap here, coming into turn 1, 4th gear, back down the 3rd for turn 2, and short shift to 4th here, and I lose the rear end here and break the front wing on my first qualifying lap. So not a good start here to qualifying, and yeah, not ideal. First set of tyres, and here I was just waiting for the Ferrari to go, and then I unfortunately didn't get a very good spin there, and now I've got a racing point coming up behind me here, and E goes past. That's Stroll. He would have had the lose a bit of time there. It was AlphaTauri. So yeah, anyway, moving on to, this is now 2 minutes left in the session. This is the end of my first lap. I decided to not go back out and just put on the second set of tyres, and we're going to come to the line here, and we're going to slot in the 13th place with 2 minutes 30 left in the session. And I was sweating. Hubert put it in the top 10 in Q1, and we just sneak through in 16th place here with both the Haas's, Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Latifi, De Vries all out in Q1. So we get through to Q2 by the skin of our teeth here, so really fortunate. And yeah, I didn't put in the best lap there in Q1, lucky to get through to Q2. So here's Q2, first run. I decided to use the medium tyre. I had it in the bank there, and it didn't really matter. This is just to get my eye in, and I knew I was going to beat the time later with the softs. So yeah, we put in a decent lap there on the mediums. That was 15th place in the end. And now we're coming around here. We're going to show the full lap here, and we're going to brake here in the turn 1, back down the 4th gear, and then 3rd for turn 2. Cut that inside curb nicely there, and now not short shifting there and being a little bit smooth on the throttle this time around. Back to 5th gear actually for 3 and 4, and then going through 5 and 6 here and into 7, I believe, or is this turn 6? I actually don't know. And through this chicane, I always found it tricky here on throttle to get the power down. Open the DRS now, as we're purple in the first sector. I don't know if that's a glitch or not. I never know with these games. But back down the 5th gear for the chicane, trying to be smooth on the throttle and come into the hairpin here and getting the braking right here. Up to 8th gear, back down the 2nd, and short shift in the 3rd, and going to use the revs here in 3rd, up to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Open the DRS here, and looking, this is one of my favourite corners in the whole game, this last chicane and the Wall of Champions, just the challenge of it. Back down to 5th gear, use the curb, all the room. We have a huge slide on the exit, and that's cost us a lot of time. We're improved massively compared to our medium time, but what's the time going to put us? It's going to be P12, so that slide's probably cost us a spot in Q3. That was a couple of tenths at least. And Hubert qualifies in 13th position, so we're knocked out in Q2 here, along with Perez, myself in the 12th, Hubert 13th, Norris in 14th, 15th for Sebastian Vettel, and 16th for Leclerc. So horrible day for Ferrari in qualifying. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to David Croft, and he'll give you a race introduction.
Hello and welcome to the Ile Notre Dame once again for what promises to be another incredible Canadian Grand Prix at a fiercely competitive circuit, where pole position can often be decided by less than 1/10 of a second. It's a tricky circuit to tackle in wet conditions, with top speed still of critical importance down the long back straight. There are 2.7 miles and 14 corners overall on a circuit that in the dry can see average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour. We'll be lucky to get anywhere near that today. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let me ask you about Racing Point. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Esteban Ocon, and Sainz, Gasly, Kvyat, Stroll, and Sergio Perez. Albon, the captain, Antoine Hubert, and Vettel, Leclerc, Russell, Kevin Magnussen, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Latifi, De Vries, Norris, and Kimi Raikkonen finishes off the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So, welcome everybody to the Canadian Grand Prix wet race, full wet race. Just it's going to be all on the intermediate tyre. At this stage, the strategy for me is just to do a one-stop. I think the one-stop, just looking at this, it's a little bit quicker. So, yeah, even though it is quite a short pit lane here at Canada, so one-stop strategy is going to be the way to go. And yeah, a few grid penalties on the grid, but we stay in 12th position on the grid. Albon had a grid penalty. I believe it was for a collision with Raikkonen in practice. So yeah, interesting. But we'll get underway now for this Grand Prix here. As here we go, 5 red lights coming on now. 4th light, 5th light. Here we go. It's go here for the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's a tentative start. Being very cautious here, getting a decent launch, but we've got nowhere to go. We're boxed in by Perez and Albon here, and we've got our teammate on our inside here, Hubert, and we're just going very cautiously, very slow here. Look, doing 60 kilometers here through turn 2, big slide on the exit, 3rd, 4th gear, and we're not able to make a position, but we don't lose one either. We're very cautious here. Perez and Albon going side by side, having to check up there and almost running into the back of Albon, and I probably could have done that a little bit better. Maybe make a move here into the chicane. Can't get up the inside. I believe that is turn 6. I probably should fact check, but I'm not going to. As now, we're just going to feel our way through these conditions. It's obviously not heavy rain, but it is enough rain for the intermediate tyres, and no DRS. Not a lot of grip at this point. So yeah, these early stages is just about filling the conditions, and look how hard I have to brake into turn the hairpin there, and the yellow flags in the background. The AI went really slowly there through the hairpin, and that really caught me off guard. So now picking up a bit of slipstream here off Albon, but not close enough here to make a move into the final chicane. And Bottas leads the Grand Prix here on the opening lap, so we'll see if he can put a dent into Max Verstappen's championship lead here. As we now move on to lap 5, and I'm still just sitting here behind Albon, and the AI at the minute, they go really slow into this hairpin here while they're in a group, and you'll see here on display what I mean. Look how slow they go, and I looked up the inside there, but I did that too late, so I knew for the next lap that that's what I had to do. And we're still feeling out the condition, just trying to get into a bit of a rhythm in these intermediate conditions, just trying to figure out how to drive the car. And we got Albon once again here, so this time I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive in getting the car up the inside, braking late. Here we go, made the move earlier, and we're now fully alongside at the apex of the corner, and it's a big slide on the exit there, but we get the job done on Alex Albon. Move into 11th position, and we now got Perez ahead. So moving on now to lap number 7, and you can see how far away Perez is. He's behind his teammate Stroll, and I brake normal, where I would normally brake for the hairpin in these conditions, and I hit the back of Perez here, and we got an orange colour on the front left now, the wing, and I thought I'd drive around a lap and see how it is. So yeah, I'm not too bothered about coming in at this stage. So yeah, we're going to stick it out and just hope for the best and maybe change it a little bit later. I just wanted to see how bad the damage was. But here, straight away through the last chicane, I understeer into the wall of champions, and now the right side of the front wing is damaged to a yellow colour. So immediately I know now I have to pit, so I'm going to box this lap. And you can see here, coming into turn 3, I missed the apex, go off the track here. Albon gets through, and we can't turn here through the right-hander and of 5, so Hubert now gets past us here, a little bit of contact there. And yeah, so I am in desperate need of a new front wing, so we'll be doing that at the end of this lap. And at this point of the race, I thought, well, there's my chance for points over. We're in 13th position, and points, yeah, they look long gone. So yeah, really disappointed with myself at this stage of the race. I'm like, I've thrown points down the drain here. I thought it was a really good opportunity to score points, and yeah, so now we're in for a front wing change, but we'll see how we can recover to. You can see Raikkonen and Norris have not made any progress at all, starting at the back because of their grid penalties. So that's really interesting that the AI just haven't been able to pass without the DRS, which I found really interesting. But you know, we're now last and we're a fair way off the rest of the pack. So now we're just going to knuckle down and put in the laps. And immediately the new tyres just gave me a lot of pace. And here we go, fastest lap. And you can see the amount of time we're gaining on the rest of the grid, on the rest of the field, and we are pulling them in at a couple seconds per lap. These fresh tyres were unbelievable. Like, I just had so much confidence. Here's another fastest lap on lap 14, and we've caught the back of Raikkonen now, and yeah, we're on, you know, 7-8 lap younger tyres, and it's just unbelievable how much more pace we have than everybody else. And we're going to go up the inside here on Kimi, and so much more confident on the brakes, and he actually leaves us space there and doesn't turn in on us. So Raikkonen, yeah, does us a favour, doesn't fight too hard, and we're into 21st now. And the comeback's on, and I'm starting to feel really confident about getting it back to where I was before. And we now got Norris here, and we're going to do the same move on him here into the hairpin, and really confident under the brakes here into the hairpin, and yeah, just got the move done. So moving up on into P20. So here on lap 15, I'm behind Latifi, and he pulls out of the way, moves into the pit lane, and a lot more cars in the pits here. And what I noticed when coming out of with the cars in the pit lane here, we got Carlos Sainz, who comes out right ahead of us, and Carlos Sainz was in 6th place, 7th place. So that's a massive gain, because we were running in 11th position when we broke the front wing. So we've gained a lot of time in the cars ahead. So we've had a massive undercut. And here, now lap 17 in this Grand Prix, we're sitting in 12th place. A few cars still haven't stopped, and Sainz trying to go around the outside of Giovinazzi, and he's being held up, and we take advantage and go down the inside of Carlos. And he's still now outside here. It's going to be a bit of a drag race now. And now we enable our overtake mode, just making sure we're getting fully confident in the traction before I could enable that. And now Hubert comes into the pit lane, and Giovinazzi pits as well, so that's worked out well there. He gets out of the way, and look where Hubert is, he was ahead of us when we pitted, obviously, and you can see how much time we've gained from that undercut. So all of a sudden I'm feeling really good. There's Pierre Gasly, he was running well and truly inside the top 10. There's Max Verstappen, who has a little bit of car issues, I think, because he was not pacey at all in this Grand Prix. You can see now we're lap 22, and I haven't made, my pace has plateaued compared to the rest of the field, and my tyres are pretty cooked, especially the rears. So I'm coming back into the pits to put on another set of tyres, because I had so much of a pace advantage over the AI. So I waited for them to do about 5 laps, but you can see my rear tyres are pretty gone, and they're not going to get to the end of the Grand Prix. I waited about 5 laps for the AI to use up their tyres a little bit, not get out their pace before I came into the pit. So we come in, put on another set of intermediate tyres, and it's dropped us back down to 15th position. A lot of clear air though. And some cars are running a two-stop, like the cars we're fighting, but there are also cars that are running a one-stop strategy. So it's going to be interesting to see how the one-stop versus the two-stop plays out. So you see here, lap 24, now lap 25, we're caught up to the rest of the field, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and we're once again got a bit of a pace advantage over the AI here, as we're just out of sync with them. We're up behind Perez here, and we'll just see if we can get the exit here. When the AI aren't in the group, it's obviously not so bad breaking into the hairpin. They don't check up as much. I didn't get the best run out of the hairpin there, and Russell, Perez, both ahead of us here, do us a massive favour on this lap. They both come into the pits. They're obviously running the two-stop, and that gives us a little bit of space and freedom to now just run our own pace here. Other cars in the pit lane, including Sainz and Verstappen. And Verstappen, remember, was ahead of us, and we've massively undercut him. So that's a gain of position through the strategy and through the pits. And we're going to the end of the race. And Verstappen has car issues, so we're actually just going to start pulling away from him. You can see we've got our teammate Hugh Bear pitting in now, but you can see how much time we've got a pit stop on him. That's how much time we've gained through the undercut, and just genuine car speed throughout the race. And I just had a lot of confidence in the car. You can see purple sectors there, green sectors, a red sector in the third, just depending on how well I drove the lap. But you can see Albon is a bit ahead of us. We're starting to close the gap every lap, close the gap, and we've just Albon was running a one stop. Now here's Daniel Ricciardo retiring from the Grand Prix. He was running in third place, so that's unfortunate for Ricciardo. That's a podium gone for him, and he'll be filthy with that, the Australian. But yeah, just constantly closing in on Albon. He's running the one stop strategy, so clearly the two stop strategy is quicker. With the short pit lane, you don't lose a lot of time, and if you have the pace to do it, obviously, which we do, we're just banging in fastest laps every, couple laps, really just hammering them in. And you can see here at lap 33, we're now on Albon's rear, and you can see Gasly up ahead as well. Or was that Kvyat? Sorry, Gasly ahead as well. And we here get a really good run out of turn 2 compared to Albon, and we almost get alongside here into turn 3, so not quite. So, as you're studying where your strength and weaknesses are, there's obviously a place of strength. And here's another place of strength into the hairpin. We gain a bit of time here, but not close enough to go down the inside. I thought about it, but I pulled out of that one because that wouldn't have worked out. And now, by doing that, we don't have a chance at getting him here into the chicane. But my top speed wasn't that great anyway down this straight due to the wet setup, so I knew I didn't really have a chance on the straight. Here at lap 34 now, do we have another opportunity here through the exit of turn 2? We see we've got a lot more mid-corner speed through turn 2. Maybe it's just the grip of the fresh tyre, I'm not sure, but Albon's going a little bit defensive here into turn 3, so we're pretty much pushing him here through the chicane. We've got a lot more grip and confidence maybe in the car on these tyres, but now it's the last lap of the Grand Prix. I still haven't found a way through an Alexander Albon. Yeah, we're looking to gain that 6th spot. 6th position would be really, really good. Try to go around the outside here. Now trying to get the switch back here. And we're going to flick it here into overtake mode just to give us a little bit extra speed. And now we're going to be really deep on the brakes here into 3. Outbrake Albon. And we get the move done. Clean move. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Into 6th position here on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton has won the Grand Prix. An amazing drive by him to beat his teammate. And we're going to come across the line here for a excellent recovery drive to finish the Grand Prix in 6th place for 9 points with the fastest lap. So yeah, what a result, and really, really happy with that one. And yeah, we'll give it over to David Croft for the post race.
A truly magnificent drive then, and a great performance from the entire team to secure victory here in Canada. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot A well-earned victory for Mercedes. So let's review the updated driver standings. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to the captain. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
So that was the Canadian Grand Prix here today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I thoroughly did myself driving that one. I thought I'd thrown it away in the, the first stint, but the two-stop strategy was the absolute blinder around this track on these tyres. You had so much pace advantage, and with the short pit lane, you don't lose that much time, and you can just make it up a couple of seconds a lap. It was unbelievable how much pace I had compared to the rest of the field. Great result. Unfortunately, Hubert doesn't score points here today, finishing 12th. Great win for Lewis Hamilton, and with Max Verstappen struggling and finishing down in 8th position, that's a big swing in the championship. As you're going to see now, his lead has been chopped up, and Hamilton moves back in the second place in the championship. Ocon with his podium as well, good points for Renault, and they would have had really good points. Also, AlphaTauri had an unbelievable result today and last week as well, so they're looking really healthy now in the constructors. They've overtaken us with some really good results recently, and there it is. There's a confirmation with that. So we've got a lot of work to do. We're currently 7th with a pretty quick car that can definitely have a strong, rest of the season. So here's the rival breakdown. Had a much better weekend than Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and we've got a little bit of money in the bank now. We've been saving it. I've been saving it, thinking in the back of my mind with the drivers at I think it's the French Grand Prix where the re-sign period is, and I probably will just sign Hubert up for the rest of the season and then look for a new driver at the end of the season. I think that's my plan. But when it comes to the car chassis upgrade, I think we're looking at the chart there. We're actually mid-table now. I think at the start of the season we were one of the worst, so we're starting to really develop the chassis on the car, and we're going to get another little upgrade here. We're going to I decided to rush this upgrade here for, it's no extra cost. It's a risk at failing, but it's something. I think it's worth taking that risk to get it for the next Grand Prix. So yeah, we've got a little invitational event coming up as well, so that's going to be a little nice bonus for cash here at the French Grand Prix, and we will do that and take the cash inflection. But anyway, so come back now, and one of the parts there failed, as you see, so that was a little bit annoying, and we'll have to redevelop that, and that's just a durability part, turbo durability. So yeah, turbo was one of the bits that really wore out the most. That's why I wanted to upgrade it. So, but we get that chassis part that I rushed.
Expecting some new developments to come through, but
So-
some of them have failed the quality control. Make sure you indicate what you'd like redeveloped via the R&D screen.
Thank you, Cole. So yeah, we'll redevelop that turbo part now that we have the points available to us, I think. Yep, we're going to do that. But yeah, so we rushed that chassis bit, and we've got it on the car now for the next race, which is, I believe, the French Grand Prix. So yeah, looking forward to the French one, but at the same time, it's the French Grand Prix, so yeah, not the most favourite track on the calendar for a lot of people. Hopefully it provides some decent racing and a decent result for us. I think the car will be good there. But now coming here to the aerodynamics, I realised that I can make an upgrade here on the, but I don't think I'm going to. I don't know, I can't remember what I did, so I'm just watching to see if I do anything here, but it doesn't look like I will. So anyway guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Comment any feedback down in the comment section below, your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Also league racing for Trans Nations in their Nosis Tier 1 and FRL's top division on a Sunday night. So until then, I will see you for the next video. Goodbye.